Good evening, everyone. It's 6:30. I'd like to call us all to order for the meeting of the June 27th meeting of the Guilford Select Board. It's nice to see you all here in the audience. Thanks very much for coming this evening, and those on the online, welcome. We're glad you're here. The first order of business is to talk a moment about our rules and procedures. So I'll ask Rusty to do that.
Okay. The Select Board has adopted a set of rules and procedures for its operations. They are here and in the chat line online. These rules ask that everyone present at the meeting conduct themselves in a civil manner. Additionally, on every chair and on the chat line, there is some basic information which includes how to contact Select Board members, how to secure a spot during the community comment portion of the meeting, and how to get to the agenda, how to communicate with the board via mail or email.
Thank you, Rusty. And I'll also say that both of the documents that Rusty's talking about are on the Guilford website, the town website as well. So anytime anybody wants to review those materials, they're there to be looked at. All right, then we move on to the next portion of the agenda, which is the welcoming of our public and our community comment period. And I turn this over to Veranda.
Okay, if people have read Front Porch Forum, you'll notice that I published an invitation on behalf of the Select Board for people to participate in our community comment program. And I feel so lucky today. We have Linda Hay and her special guests, family members, that she's going to talk to us about.
Would you like us to stand or stay where we are? Stand?
Stand.
Yes,
Stand.
okay. You can stand on this side, you can stand on this
You
side.
could sort of angle yourself a little.
This is a family you see here. I'm Linda Hay. I've lived on Coolidge Highway for 37 years, just south of the Gaines Farm. And I never had children, but I invited Afghan refugees to come live in my house. I had 2 spare bedrooms, actually a spare house. And Nada and Sahila are my daughters now. I didn't think it was going to work out that way, but it has. I couldn't be prouder of these 2 young women and what they have achieved since they've come to Vermont. Nada got out of high school in Afghanistan just before she fled and came to this country. She came with very little warning, not a clear plan, but she knew she needed to learn English. And she wanted to take math and science classes so she would be ready to go to college in the US. Sahila, on the other hand, had completed university in Afghanistan, and there she became a political organizer. That was her job. And as a result, she was invited to come to the US when it became apparent that it was going to be very difficult, that the Taliban were out to get her because of the amazing work she had done in her home country. I had no idea I was going to have such worthy guests with me. Learning their story has touched me deeply. And I have just been delighted to introduce them to Guilford. We went to the Easter egg hunt. We went to Sarah Coffey's house for a potluck. We've wandered around looking at things like beaver dams and covered bridges and swimming holes. And one of the things we all agree on is ice cream at Blueberry House whenever possible. So for me, it's been a fantastic experience, and it was capped by their parents and grandparents agreeing that I would be their American grandma. So now they call me Mama, and I got flowers and a balloon for Mother's Day, the first time ever, which touched me deeply. And also touching me deeply is the wonderful welcome that the people in Guilford have afforded my daughters. When people at Sarah's house heard that Nada works at Price Chopper, all of a sudden people started coming up and saying, "We've seen your daughter at Price Chopper. She waited on us last week." And along with my church, where people have volunteered to drive, to show up with things we didn't have in the house and needed, Vermonters have really shown what it's like to live in this state and this community. If you have anything you would like to ask, they've both said they would be willing to answer a question or two.
How long have you been here?
It's been about 6 months.
6 months. So some seasons.
Yeah.
She won't say it out loud. She started to cry when she saw all the snow and ice
Yeah, of course.
when they were first driving in.
Yeah, but I was not believing that it would be part of the United States of America. I told my friends that I will not stay here. I want to go another state. But the people, the community, the support that all this community offered us, it changed our mind that we have to stay here. Now I started my graduate studies at XIII. I was offered a scholarship, which was my hope to do that. And also I'm running community center for Afghan refugees. I'm doing good things for my people and all the support I have with this wonderful community. That's all I was hoping to have.
Wonderful.
Well,
Thank
I
you.
know we're not supposed to comment on community comments, but I think we should just give them a Guilford welcome.
And Nada, who came because she was part of the Afghan women's robotics team, which got the kind of PR that the Taliban didn't want women to have. She was offered a job today, besides Price Chopper, teaching computer skills to people whose language is Dari or Pashtun. So,
Congratulations. That's great.
thank you. So thank you for letting us speak. And now we've got to get home and get your computer fixed.
All right, thank you for that.
So thank you so much.
To have you.
And now you know more people to say hi to. We'll see you at the fair, if nowhere else. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. All right, folks, thanks very much. Thanks, Brandon, for that. That's very heartening. Really wonderful story. Are there any changes to the agenda this evening? All right, we can move ahead. We need to approve the minutes of the June 13 meeting, so I would entertain a motion.
I so move.
Thank you, Richard. Is there a second? Miranda, thank you. Is there any discussion about those minutes from last June 13? All right. I will take a roll call. Michael?
Aye.
All right, Rusty?
Aye.
All right, Richard?
Aye.
Brenda?
Hi.
And Zon says aye. Those minutes are approved. Thank you very kindly. Next, we move to the portion of our agenda called updates and discussions. Tonight, we have two topics we'd like to cover. The first one is we'll invite Dan to speak to us about the highway. What's going on?
Well, we're still grading roads here and there where they need it, or widening. We got our culvert in on the Heinsberg Road last week. I'm just letting it settle, then we gotta go over and dig it up, not dig it all the way up, but we have to patch it with blacktop.
I see.
And last week, we finally got our radar signs up. I don't know if you've noticed them.
Oh, I have.
Yeah, got one by the rocks, one up by D&E, one up by D&E is working real well. One down by the rocks, we got a little work to do with it because it's not picking the cars up. We have to set it. And tomorrow we're gonna learn, we got a little webinar to do because we can work right here from the computer, or we can do it on our phones. And it'll give you all the traffic data, speed, cars, how many cars a day, depending on how fancy you wanna get with it. So tomorrow we're, Sheila and I and Jimmy are gonna watch a little video and eat some popcorn and see if we can see if we can figure it out, so.
Good.
But and I've been sitting up by D&E, I've been down by the rocks, because, I just wanna see what was going on. People are, when they come down, they see it, and their brake lights are coming on, and they are slowing up, but I don't know what's going on when they get past, like down in the village. I don't know if they're picking their speed back up again, but I haven't really sat at the store to watch them come down through, but they're putting their brake lights on, slowing up, so.
I just did it.
Yeah, so.
I'll also report, Dan, that more than one person has written to me to say thank you to you and then to the town for putting those signs up. Well, because of what it means for the community.
No, thank you. But I was really dreading putting them up because they wanted them on a separate pole and they wanted a concrete bay, and that was gonna be a nightmare. And I met with Mark last week and he said, no, we can do it this way. And
Okay,
so it made it a much better and faster and easy way to do it.
great. So glad it's done.
I had a quick question. Is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah, I noticed that the largest item on the invoices was chloride. And I know what it's for, but I don't really know what it is.
What we're using is, I don't really use calcium. It's called the magnesium chloride. It's basically what it is. It's almost liquid salt. And it just keeps your road
I know
on
what it
and
does,
it keeps the
yeah.
dust down.
Right.
I mean, even that's gone up. I mean, they used to get it for like 80 cents a gallon, and that's with all the, now they're charging a fuel charge,
Right.
but they absorb it right in the price now. It's up to 95 cents a gallon. But I mean, everything's going up.
Oh, yes.
Then for a tractor, I haven't started mowing any roadsides yet because I'm waiting for a piston for the tractor, for the mower. So, I mean, as soon as we get that in, I was hoping it was gonna be here today, but it hasn't showed up yet. And then we're down on Route 5. We started on East Mountain Road today. I got a bucket truck and we're going around and cutting dead trees. But we're not gonna get the whole town done, and, we're only gonna get a couple days worth of doing it. And some trees I have to get a crane to come in because of the way they are, so. Right now, the ones that we can tip, we're just tipping them out in the woods, which I don't like doing because it makes a mess. And then we have to clean that mess up, so it's gonna be time consuming. But I like the bucket truck because he can go up and he just drops them right there in a pile and everything's right there, so. Other than that, that's basically what's going on, so.
All right, Dan,
That's a lot.
thank you very much. Yeah, there's a lot going on for sure.
So I have a question.
Sorry.
Dan, when the piston comes in, do you guys do your own repairs?
Yeah.
So that's another thing, that doesn't go outside the town
Doesn't go out of
garage.
town. Stays here.
Actually, they sent a new piston, and then the yokes that go on the end of the rod, they sent me 3, and they don't fit.
Of course.
And of course, it's supposed to be an inch and an 1/8 OD rod for the piston. And the block that they had some trouble with millings, when they milled them out.
Yeah.
It was 1.16 inch, so they sent me 3 of the same part numbers, and none of them fit, so it's out on the front step. UPS is supposed to be picking it up, and they're sending me a brand new one with everything on it, so.
Good luck.
And the piston's $500.
Oh, gosh. Good luck. All right, folks. Any other-
Dan.
Yeah, thank you very much. Any other issues here, comments? Okay, we'll move on. In the agenda this evening, we have an opportunity to talk with Sarah Coffey, who's going to provide a legislative update. Sarah, would you be willing to come up and maybe pull the chair up close to the microphone? Yeah. Nice to see you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks. Is this good? I'm looking at the director over there. Okay. Great. So thanks, everyone. I'm Sarah Coffey, I'm the state rep representing Guilford and Vernon. It's a great honor to represent this town in the Vermont House. And thanks for making time for me on your agenda. I'm going to try to be as quick as I possibly can, because I know you have a lot to do tonight. So I prepared some written things, and I'm happy to give them to Sheila afterwards, if that's by digitally too. So what I wanted to do was give some highlights on the legislative session as it specifically relates to your work on the select board and local government. For folks who are interested in knowing more, who might be watching this on Zoom, I have prepared a more extensive booklet, and that I'll leave some in the town office and around in offices, and I can give them to all of you as well. But tonight I wanted to specifically talk about things as they relate to you and your work. So this legislative biennium is being referred to as the COVID biennium, the 2021-22 session. We ended on May 12th, and this biennium was vastly different from many other sessions that we've had. As you all know, we've all been surviving and living through this pandemic. In 2021, we started the session entirely remotely. And this year, we were really pleased with a really complex series of protocols. We were able to return in person. And, you know, the pandemic this year continued to reveal the gaps and inequities in our system across our systems. And it really tested a lot of our institutions. But I think despite the challenges, we really came together and were able to get some important work done for our communities. I know that local government endured many challenges and frustrations in 2022, and I have to say I always appreciate hearing from members of the select board and members of the town office, the staff, and volunteers who are on our various commissions and committees, because it really helps me do my work better. It helps me listen, it helps me advocate. So I hope that you'll continue to do that, and I encourage other folks to too. So I wanted to focus a lot on the money, because the money this year was kind of extraordinary. As everyone knows, we got American Rescue Plan Act funding, which brought $1.2 billion to Vermont. We allocated that money over 2 years. And the lens that we used in the legislature was to look at making transformational investments that will help Vermonters in need, but also set us up for strong and resilient communities. And so the legislature did this through making strategic investments in 5 areas: economy, workforce, and communities, housing, broadband connectivity, climate action, and clean water. So I wanted to highlight some of those within that section that relate to us, relate to you all in our town. So broadband, universal access to broadband. We know how important this is. I'm thrilled that Guilford is part of our communication union district, which is the the Deerfield Valley CUD, right? And so because we did that work, Vermont and Vermont communities were really well set up for this federal money that at the time we did not know it was coming. So last year we invested $150 million of the federal ARPA money, and this year was an additional $95 million, and we're expecting another $100 million through the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act fund within the next year. So this is really significant, and I'm really excited because I feel like our community, Southern Vermont, is really well positioned to take advantage of that, and in fact have already gotten some grant money. I think it was like $4 million. And because we do know, I don't want to simplify this, but we know how important this kind of connectivity and high-speed internet access has become for families, kids in school, people needing health to access healthcare and more. Second was within a special and separate ARPA fund, which was the Coronavirus Capital Projects Fund, which came through my committee. I should have said, I'm the vice chair of the Corrections and Institutions Committee, which deals with a lot of the infrastructure, non-transportation infrastructure. So we dealt with the $113 million of these Coronavirus Capital Projects Fund. And one of the broadband was supported through that, as well as funding for Vermont libraries. Now, I know our town has been through a decision not to use municipal funding, but this is an opportunity for the town to go after some. These will be large grants that will be available through the Department of Libraries. Libraries, this was a pre-qualifying area because the federal government recognized how important our small libraries are, especially in rural communities like ours, to access high-speed internet, and to also many of our libraries, especially in Vermont, are not ADA accessible, and it's really challenging for people to access these spaces. So this is like many of the programs and the funding that we set up. These are going to be new programs, so it's going to take a little while to get things set up, but I'm happy to help the town to connect with those resources as necessary. Third is the creation of a municipal energy resilience program. Fun fact, Vermont's municipalities own and maintain approximately 2,000 old buildings and are expensive to heat, as you know, and they have a large carbon footprint. So this year we appropriated $45 million of ARPA money, ARPA funds, to create this program, the Municipal Energy Resilience Program, and it's detailed in depth in H518, which is included in the FY23 budget. The program will support communities with technical assistance, design support, and funding to make municipal buildings more energy efficient and decarbonize the fuels they employ. So this program will be administered through the Department of Buildings and General Services. And again, I'll be happy to help connect you. If they're partnering, they have a few positions with Efficiency Vermont, and like a lot of these programs, they need to hire a few people to get this program up and running. The fourth area is clean water for Vermont and Vermonters. Now, Vermont already had been funding clean water initiatives, but with this federal money, clean water was one of the specific areas. And I wanted to talk specifically about the investments for municipalities for investing in water, sewer, and stormwater infrastructure. Because we know, we've learned a lot about stormwater, wastewater systems. That's how we develop, if we want to have development in our towns and maintain clean water. So we put in $100 million that was designated for water and sewer investments. An additional $104 million was allocated in the FY23 budget. So just to quickly go through some of these, and I know I'm speaking quickly, but it's $15 million is available to support design and construction of community scale water and decentralized water projects to support underserved designated centers. $10 million to municipalities with small and primarily residential customer bases to upgrade or replace water or wastewater treatment systems at risk of failure. $20 million to assist municipalities in the design and construction of projects that reduce or eliminate wet weather sewer overflows. $15 million to replace failed on-site water and wastewater supplies for Vermonters with low incomes or who are unable to access or afford market rate loans, and $1.5 million to update leaking service lines, old plumbing, and replacing outdated fixtures like sinks, toilets, dishwashers, etc. Looking ahead, $355 million of additional federal dollars are anticipated for water investments through what we're calling the IIJA, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. So many of these funds are anticipated mid to late summer, and they're through some existing programs. We have the Clean Water Revolving Loan Fund and a number of other programs that are run through the Agency of Natural Resources. And again, if the town is interested in doing this, keep this in mind, because this is an opportunity for our town. I also wanted to talk about what we've been doing to stabilize emergency dispatch, because I've been hearing how, we've been hearing throughout Vermont, but we've been hearing in Guilford, how the strain is, especially on our fire department and our local volunteers, and the strain, that the pandemic has had on our communities. So our emergency dispatch system in Vermont has been long in need of an overhaul, and the pandemic has certainly strained it. But there's some good news. After decades of study, this is the first time that funds have been allocated toward a regional concept of emergency dispatch. The FY23 budget contains a provision designed to stabilize a dispatch system on which Vermonters can rely. The system will include 2 public safety answer points serving only state-level entities, plus 4 or 5 new regional dispatch centers. And I'm excited that I think there's interest in Brattleboro to create one for Southern Vermont. The other centers are already St. Albans, Hyde Park, Hartford, and Shelburne. So this is something that I'm going to be keeping kind of tabs on, because it's important for our community. So let's see. I wanted to just remind people of the community building grants. This is an ongoing program. It's not funded with ARPA money, but it comes through the capital budget. Guilford, I'm so proud that Guilford has really utilized a lot of these grants to do the park, the playscape, and I think the rec, with the tennis courts and the rec committee. And so there are a couple of areas of funding that are specifically for capital projects. The fair, the Guilford Fair has also tapped into some of these dollars. So there are different departments. The Agency of Agriculture handles the fair program, the capital projects for the fair. The Vermont Arts Council has funding for cultural facilities, and the Department of Buildings and General Services kind of catches many of the others. And I was happy that we were able to increase that funding across all of them for this year. Last, I want to say speak to the other side of the equation, which is tax relief for Vermonters, what we were able to do this year. And I'm coming close to the end here. This year, the annual yield bill, which is, I don't want to get too much in the weeds, but this is the revenue that funds our pre-K through 12 education system. And this year we were able to, with the yield bill, we were able to notably reduce education property taxes, which is good news because you all in our town, there's municipal and education taxes. So let me tell you a little bit of context for this. Because of an unprecedented $95.7 million surplus in our education fund, we were able to return $20 million to taxpayers while also funding universal school meals for the next school year, PCB testing and remediation in our schools because we're finding all sorts of contamination in our schools, and new investments in our public pension system. And we're also creating a new program through our career and technical education centers that will teach students the construction trades by building and rehabbing housing and other community projects. We're investing $15 million there. So despite the strong there's been a growth in education spending, the yield bill projects an average homestead tax rate of $1.38.50, significantly lower than last year's rate. And last, I want to say that we were able to bring tax relief to Vermont parents, veterans, and retirees through H510 was the bill. There's a building on the federal child tax credit. Parents who have children, parents and guardians of children 5 years or younger can get $1,000 per year off of their taxes. The bill also creates a deduction for all interest paid on student loans, which is great for our future and our students. And also there's a tax base for folks on Social Security benefits. There's a new exclusion of an additional $5,000 for those income thresholds that qualify. And also last, an exclusion of $10,000 of retirement income for military families in retirement. So I just want to wrap up there and just, sorry to speak so quickly, but I know you have a lot on your agenda, but I just wanted to say I'm here to help if you need connection with some of these resources or programs. I think it's an important part of the work that we do to make our community and our select board aware of those resources and opportunities, and folks who might be listening, for all the non-municipal issues, please feel free to reach out to me. So I think I'll pause.
Thank you very much. That is a
thank
lot of information.
Yeah, and I will
a lot of wonderful information.
So,
I have a question.
Yes, quickly.
Yes, a quick question. Do you agree with me that it might be a good idea for the select board to have a point person or a point committee that can be aware of these initiatives and how Guilford can take advantage of them, so that it's not just, here's Sarah and I'm telling you that this is available, but there's no one person or one committee or one entity that is following up. I mean, this library money, this cold building money, this water money, all might be quite available to our town, but we need somebody to work with you to understand what's available. So,
sure, I'd be happy, whatever you want to do. I would also say that the Vermont League of Cities and Towns is an incredible resource to towns, and they actually really serve the towns and really are there to help you access this. But whatever you want to do, I'm happy to do that.
I'd like to put it on discuss it at some point.
Maybe the next agenda, next meeting we can talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, I was asking you because I wondered whether would it be a burden to you or would it be a help to you? I think it would be a help to the select board and the town.
Sure.
If we had a more direct instrumentation of what you're telling us.
Sure, and this comes at, really, I do make a point of coming and giving these updates at town meeting and at the end of the session. The best time for those updates is at the end of the session when the budget is passed, but however you want to handle it, I'd be happy to have a direct line, but I also really make it my business to try to stay in touch with the issues that our town is, looking at and thinking about, and trying to translate those opportunities to the town, but also be in touch with them, so I can help us inform as things are being decided along the
And
way.
I was talking about execution, I'd like to execute on some of this
Yeah,
stuff.
sure.
That's great, thank you. Well, so it's so clear, Sarah, that the what you're bringing to us this evening is really focused on Guilford and really focused on the connections here. So very much appreciated for your work, and thank you. We would love to have a copy of that digitally if possible.
I will email it to Sheila. Sheila,
We can amend it.
and you'll tell me your email address? Okay.
It's called help.
Okay, help at Guilford
VT.gov.
can do.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
You
Thank
are
you.
help.
Thanks very much, Sarah.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Sarah.
much. We'll move on now, Select Board, to the next item on the agenda, which is old business, the section of our agenda in which we will be addressing business that has come before the Select Board previously. And this evening, we have one item on the agenda, and that's to talk about ongoing legal matters that are facing Guilford. This is just a report, a quick update. It's not a discussion. I just would like to advise people about what's been happening of late and let you know where we as the Select Board stand. Some of you may recall that 2 weeks ago, on June 13th, the Select Board received what's called a summons, which is actually a lawsuit that was presented to us, and that has been forwarded to our town's attorney, and we are in conversation with the town attorney, and there are a number of steps that have to be taken. There's a process for all of this, and we're walking right through that process, and a response has been created for this summons. We have 21 days in which to respond. The response has been made, and we will hear about that response probably before our next Select Board meeting. I'll report about that, what the outcome of that response is to our response. So that suit is ongoing. Then a week ago today, we got a public records request from a Guilford citizen, and that, according to statute, we have 3 days to respond, and that has been responded to, just so you know. Richard spoke about that request he didn't. He didn't talk about this evening. Yeah, okay, so just to let you know that's where that stands, but that's a communication that we have. So those are the two issues that are facing us at this moment, and so just want to let everyone know about that. All right, we'll move on then to new business. This is the part of the agenda where we address issues that the Select Board has not seen before or has not addressed in some time. The first issue is not to take an action on, it's just to simply open a discussion so that we can think about what we'd like to do. Public holiday review, and the notion here is that the federal government has now, because the federal government has now added a new holiday, Juneteenth, to their list of holidays, our current policy states for our employees and their ability to take days off has a certain relation to the number of federal holidays. Now that's been changed. So I think that probably what I might recommend is we're covered. There's no issue about that we need to do anything immediately. But it probably wouldn't hurt for us to review that policy, the holiday policy for our employees, and just see if we need to update it, see if there's anything that needs to be done. So I would be interested in having at least one other Select Board member join me just to look at that if there's something.
I will do that.
Thank you, Veranda. So Select Board, if you're comfortable, we'll take a look at that, and if there's something that we need to propose to you, we will then propose something, right? If there's a change that we need to make in our policy. So I think just to be really safe, I will ask that there be a motion that Veranda and I do this research for the Select Board, and that we approve that research being done, and that we'll vote on it. So I have a motion. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Michael.
Sorry, Richard and Michael.
Richard and Michael. Is there any discussion here at the table?
Well, if anybody wants to weigh in about it, individually, he, since I'm the only she right here, can get in touch and offer an opinion.
if we need to have a fuller discussion at another meeting, we will do that as well. All right. So I'll take a roll call on that. Michael?
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Aye.
Brenda?
Aye.
And Zon says aye. Thank you, that passes. So Brenda will get together about that. The next order of business on the agenda is new business in the sense that it's coming before the select board right now. We actually, at our last, we all signed a document which makes it legal for this next fiscal year for pay raises for our various employees. But we probably need to adopt this yes, Sheila.
So these pay raises were approved with the budget at town meeting by the town residents. The select board is simply authorizing execution of these pay raises effective July 1st.
Thank you for pointing that out,
Yes,
Sheila.
thank
Yeah, this is not our decision.
Yeah, we're not making, thank you very much, Sheila, that's correct, absolutely. We're not making the decision. The decision was already made by the town. We're simply certifying that this is done, and it will begin now as of July 1st. So let's have a motion to certify this.
Okay, but why don't we just tell people, the first couple of lines so that they know what we're
Would
doing?
you like to make a motion?
Okay, I move that we certify the decision of the town to authorize a 5% increase for full-time employees and regular part-time employees for FY 23, 24?
23.
Yeah, 23, with exceptions as listed below.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Richard. Is there any further discussion here at the select board? Discussion from the community? Looking, seeing? All right, I'll take a roll call. Michael?
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Richard?
Yes.
Miranda?
Aye.
And Zon says aye. Thank you, those who've been certified. Thank you very kindly.
Well, especially considering inflation, I think it will be especially welcome this year.
Yes. All right, now we move on to to some finance issues and the warrants.
Okay. Okay, I move that we pay payroll warrant week 6/19/22 for the sum of $8,680.56. Payroll week 6/26/22 for the sum of $7,028.88. Expense warrant number 22 for $20,760.10 for a total of $36,469.54.
I second the motion. That's what I meant to say.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to, I'm sorry.
No, I mean, did you have a discussion?
Well, I would like to point out again that these warrants have been reviewed before this meeting by this body, and reviewed by a number of the select board members before this comes forward to the select board.
Peter and me.
And Peter.
As well as staff, yes.
Yes, and I just wanted to tell everybody that the largest expenditures in these warrants were for chloride and also for our membership in the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, both worthy things for our community.
All right, I will take a roll call vote to adopt these warrants. Michael?
Aye.
Thank you. Rusty?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Brenda?
Aye.
And Zon says aye. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Select Board. Brenda, if you can sign
Yes,
that.
thank you.
All right, the next order of business this evening is if there's any other business that needs to come before the select board, and that, just so we're all clear, that means having a moment for other business means that issues could be brought up that cannot wait until our next select board meeting. If there's an issue that anyone needs to bring up that cannot wait, this is the moment to do that. Nothing has been suggested to me, so I think we can move forward. Communications. Richard?
Yes, we've had one communication, which was a request for public records, which is being acted on.
Yes. Yes, well, it has been acted on according to state statute, yes. So, good there. Thank you. Are there any, let's see, the actions from the previous meeting? Okay, those, we scheduled a report on,
Talking about schedule.
okay, we're going to schedule a report on Rescue Inc. When the situation is clarified, so we have to deal with that. And then schedule a discussion of funds, our capital program and our capital needs assessment for a future select board meeting. And I was talking with one select board member, and we thought perhaps maybe the way to do that might be after July 1st when the new fiscal year starts, would be to have a portion of a select board meeting where we have kind of a 101 discussion of these issues, and then sense from the community if there needs to be a broader discussion. And perhaps we might have a non-select board meeting discussion at another time if there's a request for more information. So we're thinking about that. All right, actions taken in this meeting were to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. We appointed a research group, a subtask group to look at holiday issues. We certified payroll increases per the town's request, and we approved the warrants for $36,469. And 50 cents. Okay. And I don't think there are any actions
Well, just
to-
that to put on the agenda, the discussion of having a more direct pipeline to
Okay.
our
All right.
representatives.
So that's yes, I have a note for that, so we'll make sure that we get that on, yeah, that's great, for another agenda item. I think if there's no other business before the select board, I think that I could entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Adjourn?
I will second.
Michael, is there any discussion?
It's a very entertaining motion.
All right, thank you all very kindly. Michael, yes, yeah, Michael.
Hi.
Rusty.
Aye.
Richard?
Oh, yes.
Miranda. And Zan says aye, that motion carries. Thank you all very kindly,
Thank
select board,
you.
thank you, community.